If you really, really want to know just how dishonest the mainstream liberal corporate media has become, they are literally creating fake interviews to gaslight their viewer victims. And in this case, they're using Joe Rogan to do it. And I guess it makes a lot of sense. I mean, they know that Joe Rogan has reach. They know that people trust him, and they probably believe that his views are, pretty well represent a large portion of America. So they're using Joe Rogan to abuse these poor people that trust them over on MSNBC. Just take a look at this.
Not sure if you guys caught this, but MSNBC was exposed today for yet another set of lies. They deceptively edited together this video of different Joe Rogan comments to make it appear that he was singing the praises of Kamala Harris.
She's going to win.
No, she's not.
She can win. She is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice. She in a medical unit. She was a congresswoman for 8 years.
Yeah.
She is a person of color. She's everything you want. She's going to win.
No, she's not.
She can win. They just want no Trump, no matter what.
This is not reflective at all of the truth of what Joe Rogan said. And I think MSNBC has since taken this post down. But what's really serious here is that not only does Joe Rogan deserve an apology, there's actually something far bigger at stake here. This is yet another example of how MSNBC is working hand in glove with the Democrat elite and the Kamala Harris campaign to try to spread lies, simply things that are not true. So what this means is MSNBC is a for-profit corporation. They are helping Kamala Harris's election campaign. And what they are doing through their platform would qualify as an in-kind contribution to her campaign. It's worth a lot of money. The fact that they are doing this should require the Federal Elections Commission that manages campaign spending and campaign finance to require them to report this as an in-kind campaign contribution or to be punished for abusing their position in trying to use their platform that has nothing to do with journalism. It is purely a propaganda platform, and that they are using this in order to try to help Kamala Harris get elected. These people need to be held accountable for what they're doing, because otherwise they will continue to do this, continue to abuse their platform and their power to try to deceive the American people and help her get elected.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, man. As always, as usual, Tulsi Gabbard is spot on. MSNBC, and really the whole liberal corporate media as a whole, they have been abusing their platforms. They have been abusing the power that they have, which is way too much power, but that's a topic for a different video. But they've been abusing their power in order to get Kamala Harris elected. And it's truly insane when you think about it. I still honestly can't figure out exactly what they think they stand to gain by doing this, but this is what they're doing. But they've gone too far. They've gone too far, too fast, and people are just not as dumb as the media would hope. So just every once in a while, they got to pepper this stuff in there, and they have to kind of at least pretend to do their job.
In the 2020 primary, the vice president praised the defund the police movement, and now she says she doesn't support defunding the police. She called for decriminalizing crossing the border illegally. Now she supports President Biden's policies for clamping down at the border. She supported Medicare for all at one point, eliminating private insurance, and her campaign says she doesn't support that now. She's reversed herself on a fracking ban. What do you think that voters should think when she's reversed herself on several issues just in the last 4 years?
I think that voters should think that she's a human being who learns new things every single day and has the ability to take the time and effort to hear the concerns of all people. I think that they should be certain that she is a fighter and a leader who's going to do the work on their behalf to ensure that there is an economy that ensures that no one is left behind, that there is a climate, that we're going to continue to address the climate crisis in a way that ensures that there is an earth here for young people and for next generations of leaders. I think that they should absolutely believe that she is a leader who cares about people and who's going to put them first, as she has done her entire career.
So no concern about flip-flopping?
No concern about flip-flopping. This is our country changes every single day. The conditions of our country changes every single day.
Isn't that funny, man? I mean, literally, this no concern about Kamala Harris flip-flopping on literally every single possible radical issue. But the very same people who are okay with that, they still fearmonger about something Donald Trump said about abortion a decade ago, right? Kamala Harris can literally open the border with her words, invite people up here, and then just take it back through some random staffer. And no one cares. No big deal. But literally every single thing Donald Trump has ever said, either in or out of context, is some sort of existential threat and danger to democracy, right? And this is who these people are. These are not serious people, man. Not at all. Not even a little bit. And people like Dana Bash, man, just let them get away with it. It's almost like that whole thing we just saw was scripted. You know, they both hit the talking points. They both played their part in trying to fool the American people. And people see it. People see exactly what they're doing, man. And that's why they actually listen to people like Joe Rogan. And in that same conversation that MSNBC tried to manipulate and misrepresent, ironically, you know, Joe Rogan and his guest were talking about exactly what the media is actually engaged in.
Everybody forever was like, Kamala Harris is the worst vice president. She's the least popular vice president of all time. And then in a moment in time, all of a sudden she's our solution. She's our hero. Everybody's with her. All these social media posts about her. Try Googling a negative story on her. You won't find one.
So,
ta-da!
Okay, you've got me started, Officer Harris. So, they've been doing this live for years. So, in 2019, our pal Tulsi absolutely nuked her in that second debate. And
Right.
if you looked at charts at the time, she's kind of, Officer Harris is like doing okay. First debate, she comes out, Joe Biden, you're a racist. The Democrats were looking for an alternative to Bernie Sanders that wasn't Biden. She starts going up in the polls, right? Second debate comes out, Tulsi, being a good Hawaiian, knows how to roast the pig, just completely slams her. Not only that, she has no counterpunch. She goes on Anderson Cooper and she's like, well, I'm a top tier candidate, so of course people are going to take shots at me. That's her answer. She immediately starts going down in the polls. It's that day. You can see it on the chart I have on my Twitter. All the articles at the time that did an autopsy on Kamala Harris's failed campaign didn't mention Tulsi once.
Yeah.
It was BBC, LA Times, Reuters, New Yorker. A guy from the Washington Post just did a piece looking back on her campaign, didn't mention Tulsi either.
Isn't that wild?
They completely pretend it didn't happen.
Here's the thing, man. If you take the 30,000-foot view of any of this stuff, man, I think this all proves once and for all that the left really is entirely fraudulent, man. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard is actually, she's everything that the left claims to love, everything they claim to support. She's a woman. She's not white. She was a sitting Democrat congresswoman. She literally checked every single box. But they don't actually care about those things. They only care about those things when they can actually deliver power, right? And they know that Tulsi Gabbard would not be a puppet. So she became disposable, basically. And they weren't even creative about it. They got rid of her the same way they tried to get rid of Trump. To the left, she was just another Putin stooge. I mean, it's super, super predictable.
Here's my 4D chess.
Okay. 4D chess.
4D chess.
With Michael Malice.
Biden is like, all right, we put her up. We know she's going to lose. She can't go back she's not going to be governor of California. She's not going to be senator. Her career's done. And that was his kind of legacy, like, you know, getting rid of her once and for all. Because otherwise she's going to be the nominee or a very strong case for it in 2028.
Right, but don't you think that if she runs in 2024, that's very likely, there's a possibility, like more than 50-50, that she wins?
I don't think it's more than 50-50.
Oh, interesting. I do.
Once she starts opening her mouth, and here's the thing I predict, she's notoriously difficult to work for. The New York Times, the New York Post covered this at the time. Wait until people who are trying to get her into the White House start leaking to the press about what a nightmare she is to work with. That is going to undermine a lot of stuff for her too.
Damn, Seth Rich, those
she's
folks.
She's not like Hillary. Linda Bloodworth went to jail for Hillary. People ride or die with her. Kamala's a different story.
Well, she had a really high turnover of her staff, right?
90%.
That's great. What's normal?
I don't know, but it's not 90 in like a year. It's not just that they left. It's that they left and went to the press and be like, I can't, she doesn't do her homework, and then she yells at me for not being prepared. Like, they leaked. People leave these offices all the time, but they don't leak.
But it's just so wild that the media is all behind her now.
Why is it wild?
Because it's interesting. It's just wild to see. It's
The 180?
Yeah.
The shamelessness?
It's wild to see.
Yeah, I happen to agree with Michael Malice, man. I want to agree with him at least. I just cannot possibly imagine a world where enough gaslighting exists to make people not use their own eyes and their own ears, right? When Kamala Harris starts to come out of her cave and is actually forced to actually talk about anything, really. And I think one of the questions she'll have to answer is, why did you have so much turnover? And of course, she'll just say, Donald Trump had high turnover in the presidency as well, which, yeah, that's true. But he didn't have 90 or 92%. And he didn't have people saying that they were leaving because he was lazy and stupid. And he definitely didn't have one of the world's preeminent race baiters leave his office and then go on TV and say this kind of stuff.
My experience had been, it was new for me when I worked for her because I had never worked for a high-profile woman before. I had only ever worked for men. And there was one day at work where I was like, ma'am, you might be the last woman I work for because this is a
there's a story there.
It's a lot. This a lot that we got to deal with over in here.
And Mika, the grilling, the former staff, we like to refer to it as putting someone on the witness stand. She knows how to do that quite well from her previous life as a prosecutor. Before we talk about the vice president, I've also had the privilege to work for the president. I worked on his last campaign.
Yeah, the honeymoon might be over, man. When Simone Sanders can't even lie and come up with something nice to say about you on MSNBC, the honeymoon might be over. And Michael Malice is right, man. Maybe this is all just some giant setup to get rid of Kamala Harris, just get her out of Washington and keep her out forever. That would be some pretty interesting 3D chess. And I don't know. We'll see how this plays out, but I just cannot possibly imagine how anyone could see what's happening in the world or what's happening in our economy, at our border, and then listen to Kamala Harris and somehow draw the conclusion that she could somehow effectively lead the world. There's just no universe that can make sense to me. But that's just my take, man. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.